This video will contain spoilers for Horizon Zero Dawn. Aloy is a complex character. She was born to the Nora tribe hundreds of years into the future. Immediately upon being born, she was shunned by her entire tribe. She was forced to live as an outcast by the elders in her tribe, simply for being born the wrong way. Thankfully, she had a great father figure known as Rost to keep her alive. As she aged, she developed into a warrior with many skills that are needed to survive in this post-apocalyptic world. Let's talk about those skills. Aloy's strength doesn't actually lie in her physical strength. Sure, she hits robots hard enough to flip them over, she shoots arrows from a bow that can punch through metal, but I feel like saying she has super strength is a bit of a stretch. This is pretty par for the course of video game characters. No, for Aloy, her physicality shines in her agility and parkour abilities. She's extremely fast and precise, nailing jumps that would strike fear into the hearts of most people. I'd say in the hearts of everyone, but I've seen tracers, which is the word for people who do parkour, do truly insane things. As Aloy runs and jumps around the world, you can see her performing a variety of vaults and rolls to help cushion heavy falls. This confirms that parkour is one of her skills. Along with parkour, we can see that Aloy is an experienced rock climber. Really, she climbs all sorts of things. She climbs rocks, she climbs buildings, she climbs trees. She can scale these obstacles in seconds and perform intense dynos where she throws her body to the next hold. Though it is likely that she learned all of her skills from Rost, it does seem like the majority of the Nora tribe engage in some form of climbing. When it comes to combat, Aloy is a trained archer and spear fighter. She is immensely skilled with her bow and arrow. She's able to fire very quickly and with accuracy, while jumping, sliding, and running. As I mentioned earlier, we see that her bow is capable of taking down machines, which must require a very heavy draw weight. The strength to pull that weight can be developed by starting with bows with a lighter draw weight and working your way up. The strength can also be developed through a combination of push-ups, rowing, and pull-ups, as these target some of the same muscles used to draw the bow. Aloy uses her spear to bully and toss machines around, and she can quickly and precisely execute human enemies. Personally, I'm not sure where she learned some of her human-centric attacks. We do see that Ross and her spar, but some of the moves that she uses just look too well practiced for someone who only began fighting other people like 2 weeks ago. Aloy's cardio is very simple. She's just running non-stop. Obviously, this is designed as a gameplay feature. However, it is realistic that Aloy would be fast and have plenty of endurance to run away from machines or towards her prey. Her diet is a hard point. We don't actually know much about what she eats, but we can make some assumptions based on a few things. While you're playing the game encourages you to hunt down animals. You use their meat and fat to make health potions, which restore your health. We also see that Aloy is great at identifying edible plants and herbs. Along with health potions, a large amount of her healing comes from the plants seen around the world. From this, we can see that Aloy has no problem finding enough protein and calories due to her excellent survival skills. Aloy's build almost perfectly reflects her training and lifestyle. She doesn't have a ton of muscle mass, but she has some. For rock climbers, and even tracers to some degree, every extra bit of weight makes climbing, jumping, and landing much harder, and reduces your endurance. Finding that perfect balance between muscles that help, but don't hurt the movements, can be very difficult, but Aloy is pretty much right there. She's got a very believable build for a person who engages in heavy cardio, and perhaps rock climbing. Some of Aloy's psychology is up to the player. You can have Aloy pick some harsh dialogue options, while other people may have Aloy pick very kind and non-confrontational options. But a staple of Aloy's personality is that she's very strong-willed. Growing up, she was shunned by the majority of her community. She was subject to verbal abuse and at times physical abuse just for being different. Still, no matter what choices the player makes, Aloy always grows up to be a very determined and strong character. She's driven by her own goals and doesn't let the opinions of others stop her.
If you think Tirsa and Jez are traitors, why don't you head up the mountain and say that to their faces? Or do you only talk big when your superiors aren't around?
I am the Nora War Chief.
And I am a seeker, so do as you're told and open the gate.
The sooner you're gone from here, the better.
How did she develop such a personality? Without spoiling things too much, a lot of it is genetic. However, her father figure Rost also played a large role in her development. He teaches her that life can be difficult and unforgiving, and prepares her to deal with the challenges that she'll face. Aloy's mind seems to always be working. She expresses a large amount of curiosity in the world around her. She expresses an interest in finding out how the machines work. She is quick to see what she can create from the wreckage following fights. And when others around her talk about curiosities in the world, she's eager to figure out the source of those mysteries. Some flaws in her personality are that she can be quick to dismiss others if she feels they are slowing her down, and she can kind of have a superiority complex. She doesn't seem to give enough credit to her focus, the device in her ear. She is more knowledgeable about the world than others around her, yeah, but that's because she effectively had augmented reality goggles on that were connected to a rough form of the internet for the entire time that she grew up. However you cut it, Aloy is without a doubt a very intelligent and curious woman. This can immediately be seen in her ability to craft different arrows and traps, but it is most consistently seen in how she handles the world around her. As far as fictional characters go, Aloy is pretty realistic. Her build matches her lifestyle. We can look at tracers like Taylor Carpenter and Dominic Tomaso to see real-life examples of what we see in Horizon. I've added links to their Instagram in the descriptions below so you can see some of what they do. I'd actually argue that some of what Dom and Taylor do is more impressive than what Aloy pulls off. So we see running and moving like Aloy is realistic, but since you're not a video game character, you're probably going to be a little slower and a little bit more prone to injury, but you can do a lot of what she does. And the training for these skills will lead to you developing the same type of physique. To be like Aloy, you can train in parkour and rock climbing. You can take up archery, but for safety reasons, your archery won't look very much like Aloy's. Not a lot of people do trick shots like what we see in Horizon, and the people who do trick shots have to use bows with much lighter draw weights. Still, you could gain most of the skills that Aloy has. You could take some survival classes to learn what plants are poisonous and which are edible. The routine for this would look something like practicing parkour and rock climbing once a week to get started. You'd very carefully ramp up the sessions until you're doing parkour maybe 3 times a week, and rock climbing 2 or 3 times a week. You're going to want to ease into these activities because you are at a higher risk of injury. You could train archery almost as often as you'd like. If archery training fell on a parkour or rock climbing day, you'd want to practice with the bow first. You always want to be fresh for skill training, unless you are specifically training to perform under less than ideal conditions. Once you've eased into these activities, you're going to want to supplement with some form of strength training twice a week. 2 full body sessions will benefit your other activities. You want to strengthen the lower body for parkour, so things like weighted squats, Bulgarian split squats, and such would be useful here. You'd also want to focus on push-style exercises like bench press, push-ups, and dips to balance out all of that rock climbing, which can overdevelop your back muscles. And on the weekends, maybe take a few survival skill courses. Replaying Horizon Zero Dawn has reminded me of some of the things I used to do as a teenager and as a kid. I see that even though I sucked at parkour, I really did enjoy it, and I probably should pick up training it again. If I were to take anything away from the skills that Aloy has, I think that would be it, that I need to get back into parkour. What about you? Let me know in the comments what you would like to add to your current routine. Maybe rock climbing, maybe spear fighting robots, who knows? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you've been motivated to start training, then check out the link in the description. I've made a beginner program to get you going, and if you need something a little bit more personal, I also make customized workout programs. I think there are a lot of opportunities to find motivation if you're really looking for it. For me personally, I find that motivation in video games, in movies, in anime, that kind of thing. So I'm definitely going to make more videos like this. I've got a couple of ideas about who I should talk about next, but if you have any suggestions, feel free to let me know.